I want to take a look at the R connection with data virtuality. So what we're doing here is we're not using R as a front end to our data virtuality server, but we're using rserve in order to connect data virtuality to R as a data source. So we're connecting to an R server. You can see here in the connection that we have two procedures, and one of them is assign and the other is eval. You will be using this to evaluate the command that we pass on to R and retrieve the results there. I have prepared some examples here. Let's take a look at them. So the first one is going to be a very simple example, is just getting the version from R. You can see it down here. So this is the current build that we're connecting against. Another example would be getting the built-in iris dataset from R. Can do this using this example. So you can see here petal length and width and so on, all these values from the iris dataset. Now one final example would be here the normal distribution, which is the function rnorm with a parameter of how many elements. So let's call this as well. If I now want to create a view and put this into my logical data model, I can just use the create view statement to make it part of my logical data model. And let's take a look here if we can find the best way to put it would be rviews, for example. So I will be putting this into the rviews schema, and I will call it normal distribution something. Now if I run this statement, it will create a view here in my rview schema. If I refresh, I can see it. It's normal distribution. You can see the definition down here. In the end, I can just run this like a normal SQL statement. So this would be something that I can expose as a data model to my Tableau users, to my BI front-end users, and they can just use it by calling it as a view, which will then in turn make the call to the R server, evaluate the result, and return it to me as a table. I would like to use this functionality now from the BI front-end side, so I will be taking a look at Tableau here. I already connected Tableau to the data virtuality ODBC driver, and I can see my schema rserve rviews right here. Can take a look, and the normal distribution view that I just created is already a part of my logical data model, and I can use this from the Tableau side. I can join it with other data, so BI front-end users will be immediately able to use the views that I created, and each use of the view, each query will then in turn be another call to the R server that's connected to data virtuality. I now would like to use the functionality from the BI frontend side, so I will be connecting Tableau to the data virtuality server ODBC driver. I've already done this. The first thing we can take a look at is the schema, the R example schema. So the view that I just created is available to me, and I can just put this into my data model here, and each time I'm doing an update, this will make a different call to the R server from data virtuality, and the results will be put into Tableau. We can even go a step further here, so we can remove this. And now I would like to use some custom SQL to make my own calls from Tableau using data virtuality to R server. So let's go back here. Let's take the SQL that I created for this normal distribution. We're just copying this over to Tableau. So let's just paste this here. I can already preview the results, so I'm getting data. And I can even exchange this parameter of 100 elements I would like to see in my normal distribution. I can insert a new parameter here. I would call it maybe number of elements. It is of course an integer parameter that is currently 100, and that is ranging from 1 to, let's say, 1000 in a step size of 1. Okay, can test it again. Okay, works. So let's add this here, and this is now my normal distribution from R. I can go on and start modeling my worksheet with this. First thing I want to do is create a bin for my value I get returned. So let's create a bin for it. Okay, looks good to me. So we have the bin created, and now we can put the data in and use, for example, the bin as columns, and you can see already that I'm getting a result back, my normal distribution for 100 elements in my distribution. So let's show a parameter control right here. And now I can even change the number of elements that will be the parameter to my R function. So I can start with one parameter, and I can go on, and you can see the more elements I put in there, it will be put in the buckets, and each time the calculation will be different, because each of these changing of my parameter is a new call to the R server using data virtuality. Let's take a look what this looks like from the data virtuality side. So in my query log, I can see that each of these was a call, each of this changing of the parameter was a call to the data virtuality server that was accessing the RServe data source, making the call and getting the data back.